Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here by WWE Extreme Rules review for the night Sunday, April 26th, 2015, taking place tonight from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Crowd was decent tonight in Chicago. My thoughts on the night's pay-per-view. The first hour was probably the best hour of the night. That's all I gotta say about that. Really good matches in the first hour, including the match of the night, which I think stole the show, in my opinion. A match I didn't think was gonna steal the show, but it did. And a match that wasn't even supposed to be on the main card. That was inserted in after a technicality, which I'll get to that in just a few moments. But then after the first hour, the match wasn't as good as the first hour, but it was still decent. As you see by my subtitle, we crowned some new champs tonight. We had a championship retained with the move we thought was banned. I'll reiterate on that as we get to that match. So, my rating for this pay-per-view, 6.5 out of 10. Just because of the fact that only 3 matches were really good tonight. The rest of the matches were like hit and miss. Some matches were decent, but the first hour was definitely the best hour for match. I meant of the main show, not talking about the pre-show. Speaking of that, let's get on to the pre-show match, the kickoff match. Now, of course, the biggest news of the day was involving Daniel Bryan. Now, it had been speculated for the last couple weeks. There were some rumblings that Daniel Bryan was not going to be able to defend the Intercontinental Championship tonight against Bad News Barrett as scheduled because of his neck problems are starting to bug him again. They started speculating on Raw last week. We haven't seen him because of that, and now it's official by 5 o'clock this afternoon. D-Bryan was officially out of the pay-per-view, leaving WWE once again in the same position Daniel Bryan left them the last year. Leaving him in a position to having to forfeit the IC Championship, probably. We'll probably find out more about the status later. But let's think about it this way. You had 2 guys who put WWE in a precarious position by getting injured when they were champion, fighting in a match tonight. Bad News Barrett, he forfeited the IC Championship last year when he was champion when he was injured. And it goes last year, D-Bryan got injured when he was world champion. He had to forfeit, and he's now putting WWE in that position again by his neck issues. Now, they're saying he might be out for a month. That's what they're saying. So it could technically mean that he will be stripped because he won't be able to defend within a 30-day period. So we'll see how it all plays out. But in my mind, I love Daniel Bryan. I like him. The fans want him to be champion, but unfortunately, even though fans want him to be champion, they're kind of ignorant because they don't know what it takes to be a WWE superstar. It takes a physical toll. Especially D-Bryan Styles now taking a toll on him big time. He came back only 7 months after a neck injury. And I think he should stay on the main roster, but not fight for a championship. At least break the new guys in. Especially Neville. Speaking of which, at least they didn't let the Bad News Barrett sit on the sidelines. At least they gave him a quick new opponent quickly. So Bad News Barrett would take on Neville in the pre-show. Thus, forcing the tag team title match into the main card. So we would have this match, kind of a last-minute match. Under these circumstances, on these unfortunate circumstances of this match being because of D-Bryan's injury, the match was still a decent opener for the show. Neville looked really good, so did Bad News Barrett. And Barrett gave Neville all he could handle. Because Barrett would nail almost all of his big moves. He nailed Wasteland, he nailed the Winds of Change, and he was setting up for the Bowhammer several times. And Neville, it was a big contrast. It was a battle of the Brits, and you have basically the hard knock style, the brawling style of Bad News Barrett against the high-flying Neville. It was a contrast of styles. And Neville's high-flying did well, but like I said, the power of Barrett did pretty well for him in the later half. But despite trying to nail that Bowhammer, he tried to nail it. The ending came when Neville had Barrett down at one point for the Red Arrow. But then Barrett right back up, trying to go for Bowhammer. Neville ducked it, got back down to the ground on the ring canvas. Did like an insecurity kick to the head. Barrett knocking him down once again, leaving him prone and unable to defend himself this time against the Red Arrow with the 1-2-3 victory for Neville in his pay-per-view debut, a beat on the pre-show. Never gets a victory. In his first victory since beating Curtis Axel on Raw a few weeks ago. Because he lost to Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins in 2 really good matches. So at least Neville finally wins one after a couple weeks. So I hope the push for Neville continues. Now on to the main card. First things first, a street fight involving Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper. Now, they only announced this match officially since Monday, on Raw last Monday, but we all knew this match was going to happen eventually. We all knew that there was going to be some way Harper and Ambrose would be on the card. We didn't know a snip yet, but it was a street fight, and it was a good street fight for what it was. We knew it was going to be a brawl, and it was a brawl. They brawled all over the ring, and there was some cool little spots in this match. A lot of weapons used. Only little nag about it. I wish they used tables. Another match got to use tables, but I wish this match was able to use tables in the match. But the weapons they still used was still effective. Like the candlesticks, the chairs. There's a good spot with the candlesticks and chairs. And there was a cool spot. I was hoping they were going to use this street fight to the advantage by brawling all over, which they did. They brawled to the back. And the funniest thing was Ambrose and Harper fighting all over, and Harper got into a car. He got into a car, and Ambrose jumped in the car through the window, and they drove off. And then they came back later on to resume the fight after the tag team title match. So there was 2 parts. The first part where they fought all the way to the back and went off in a speeding car, and then they came back after the tag team title match to finish off the fight, because the only way you can win is in the ring. This wasn't a false count anywhere match. So they brawled outside the ring. Again, they brought back to the ring after getting back in the car. And they threw all these chairs in the ring. It was like ECW, like all the chairs being thrown in. And Ambrose was being set up by Harper to get like a big splash with Ambrose buried underneath the chairs. But then Ambrose got back up and suplexed or power slammed Harper on the top rope through the table. I mean, not through the table. I wish it was through a table. But onto the pile of chairs, leading up to the Dirty Deeds and the 1-2-3 victory for Ambrose. By the way, it was DDT on the chair. I needed Ambrose to get Ambrose needed a victory. He needed a victory to get momentum. In my opinion, I said Ambrose should have been IC champion at Mania. If Ambrose would have been IC champion, the situation of Daniel Bryan would have never happened. I think Ambrose or Neville should be next Intercontinental champion. They stripped D-Bryan. I'll give this match 3.3. 3.3. It was a good match. Fun street fight. But they should have had a table used. By the way, I forgot to mention this. I will give the Neville Barrett match 2.7. So I gave the opening match 2.7. Kickoff match 2.7. Just because it was, for what it was, it being a last minute match, it was still pretty good. And the street fight 3.3. Wish they used tables. But hey, it's all good. Now on to our next matchup. The Kiss Me Us match. Involving Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler. I'll say this. The match was great. The match was great. I didn't like the stipulation. They should have had a different stipulation. They should have like a no-holds-barred match, but not a Kiss Me Us match. But thank you for what it is. It was a fun match. Great action for both these guys. You know what I mean? It was probably one of the other best matches of the night, just because of the action was so good. And Sheamus is a heel. I'm loving Sheamus as a heel. I've been saying it. I think a lot of people would agree with me. They've been wanting Sheamus to turn heel for a while. And this Sheamus heel turn's doing terrific. There was some great action here with both guys. Sheamus was just pounding all over Ziggler, being the bully character that he is. And then, despite all the punishment being shelled out to him by Sheamus, Ziggler would make the comeback with some big moves, the zigzag and all that great stuff. But then Sheamus was trying to go back with his big moves, even trying for a broke kick, and he even had Ziggler in the cloverleaf at one point during the match. Ziggler would get the surprise roll-up in a 1-2-3 victory for Dolph Ziggler. I didn't think Ziggler was going to win. I thought Sheamus was going to win. I thought Sheamus would be the one to make Ziggler kiss his ass. But even if he did lose, it was Ziggler who kissed Sheamus' ass. They played it up, though. Even though it should not have been as long as it did. It was still funny, though. I still wish, like I said, it was a different situation, different step, but for what it was still okay. It was like this little tease of Ziggler. Instead of putting the whole trunk down, like they used to back in the day, just showing the entire butt crack, you just took off one half of the trunk. And like Sheamus was like, I don't want to do it. And Sheamus was on his knees at one point, but then bang, low blow, boom kick to Ziggler, and then Ziggler was the one to kiss Sheamus' ass. Even though Ziggler won the fight, he won the match. Sheamus may have won the war by making Ziggler kiss his ass half the wall. So there you go. Great matchup here. 3.2. 3.2. Just because of the stipulation should have been a lot different and better. Now, on to our next matchup. A matchup that wasn't even supposed to be on the main card tonight. It was supposed to be on the pre-show. I'm happy as I am that I was happy that the tag team title match was not on the pre-show again for the second pay-per-view in a row. It was very good at Mania, and it was on the main card tonight. But you have to admit this: I'm not being sympathetic. I don't want to sound anti-sim. I don't want to sound like I have no sympathy. I don't want to sound like I have no heart. But it's the truth hurts. But I have to say this, and I think probably everyone will agree with me. They're not going to mean any demeaning way of saying it, but I have to do it. Thank you, Daniel Bryan, for being hurt. You know why? Because if Daniel Bryan wasn't hurt, this excellent match, which was the match of the night, would not be on the main card. If D. Bryan, it was just sad that. Here's the thing, though. It's just sad that this match was so good, and the only way it could ever be on the main card was under someone else's misfortune. You know, it's sad the circumstance of this match being in the card. It should not even been should have been on the main card from the get-go. Not being forced to be on after D-Bot got injured, you know what I mean? But circumstances withstanding, match of the night was definitely the tag team title match involving Cesaro and Tyson Kidd and the New Day. Speaking of guys we wanted to turn heel for a while, I'm actually liking their heel turn. This should have been like All Nation Domination heel turn, but you know what? I'm loving the heel turn they're doing. And this was a great match. This is probably one of the best tag team matches I've seen on the main roster in a long time. And the Chicago crowd helped out too. There were so many good moments. It was back and forth action. Both teams look good. This is the best the New Day has looked. I think they're finally embracing their heel turn. They're finally embracing being heels. They should have been heels in the beginning. You know, a beat in a Nation Domination heel turn, but the heel turn is awesome nonetheless. And there was so many good spots. So many good spots in this match. Cesaro, probably one of my favorite spots was definitely when Big E was going for a big move. He got caught in midair by Cesaro and turned into a pile, so that was a cool spot. And Tyson Kidd flying, it was a good flying spot. There was a big midair spear from Big E. And there was even one point when Xavier Woods got involved. They got fist slap from Natalya. So it was so much action in this match. It was very fast paced, very good matchup. And the Xavier Woods' distraction kind of helped determine the ending. As Xavier Woods was on the outside, getting slapped by Natalya, Big E was trying to get involved. He got tossed over the top rope as Cesaro, but Cesaro got distracted by trying to take out Big E. And Kofi, who was the link of man, rolled up Cesaro with the tights. 1-2-3 victory. New Day wins. Now, I didn't expect New Day to win. I thought Cesaro and Kidd would be 10. But the only positive is to get New Day more heel heat. And they got the perfect amount of heat. You know, they basically stole the titles because of the fact, you know, the distractions kind of helped Cesaro get distracted. And Kofi capitalized on the distraction. And he held the tights. So it gave New Day more heat as the heel turn. And it was kind of like we were in Chicago. It was kind of like a double turn. Like at WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart and Austin were like heel and bad guy. Austin and Bret Hart was like the good guy. At the end of that night, both guys were like role reversal. Bret Hart was the heel. Austin was the good guy. Kind of like in this situation, New Day was almost like semi-faces, semi-heels. Cesaro and Kidd were like, so what, heels. And then in the night, Cesaro and Kidd have turned babyface. And the New Day have gone full-on heel. Like, they've already been teasing the heel turn last week after they cheat to beat the Lucha Dragons. And I thought the Lucha Dragons should have been number one contenders. They will be, eventually. And I thought Lucha Dragons would put the better match. I thought that Lucha Dragons should have put on the match against I thought New Day would suck against. I thought New Day were not going to put on a good match. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. They put on a good match. As much as I would have loved to see Lucha Dragons in this match, New Day didn't belong in it. You know, they looked the best tonight. They're finally embracing their heel turn. This is the best they've looked. And I think they could do well as tag team champion. I think this could be a really good rivalry to really heat up the tag team division. Now, if the Usos gone, New Day's the champs. So there you go. 4.0. Really good match. This was definitely a show stealer. For sure. Really good tag team match. Both teams look really good. Even New Day, like I said, the best they've looked. So then after that match, of course, then came the ending of the Ambrose Harper match. Like I said, that match ended after that match. Part 1 was the first match, and then of course part 2 when they came back. I kind of like that. They had the first part, then they came back later on. I like that. Then we have our Divas title match. It was supposed to be Paige against Nikki, but then we have Sasha Banks Naomi, taking on Nikki Bella for the Divas Championship. Now I call that because didn't she almost look like Sasha Banks, like a poor man's version of Sasha Banks? She had like the pimp glasses, she had a new theme and everything because she's now full on heel and everything. And of course, the part that everyone's gonna be talking about besides the match was just the Divas match. Naomi's shoes. Naomi's color changing shoes. Those were cool. I mean, I know some people make me fun of them, but I like the shoes. They changed color too. So that was kind of cool. And the match itself, I was at SmackDown a few weeks ago in Detroit. SmackDown taping at the Joe. My reviews on this channel. And they had a main event taping match. It was Naomi against Nikki. Non-title. It was a good match. And Naomi won that match. It was a pretty good Divas match. Very long and pretty good. This is as good as that match I saw at Detroit that night. It was a good matchup. For the Divas match, not that bad. They're still making baby steps to try to be as good as NXT Divas. Especially have that great triple threat match between Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky on the NXT this past Wednesday. It was awesome. With the $9.99. But, I mentioned him at NXT mark, but still, this is the decent Divas match for what it was. Naomi, I've said this about Naomi, she should have been a Divas champion about a year ago, but she lost momentum. I think his heel turn could do really well for her. And even in a losing outfit, she looked pretty good. She took out Brie Bella at one point, but then Brie Bella would get involved in the ending, kind of. As Brie Bella, referee was distracted, Brie Bella, they were the faces here. Naomi was the heel, Bella's are the faces. So Nikki distracted the referee. Brie kicked the hell out of Naomi. And then that gave Nikki the advantage to use the rack attack in the 1-2-3 victory for Nikki Bella, retaining her Divas Championship. It's sad that Nikki Bella is not known for wrestling, and she's just famous for being on a goddamn TV show. But at least she's got more talent than Kim Kardashian. I'll just say that much. But for what it was, decent Divas match for it. But this is when the pay-per-view went down after. Well, they were after the Western Chain match. So I kind of went out of order a little bit. I jumped a match or two, but still. The match was still pretty good. I would give this match a 2.7. Just because it was a decent Divas match for one. It was a fun match. Then on to the match before it. Like I said, I jumped the match. Probably not the worst match tonight, but my least favorite match tonight. I don't want to use the word hate to it. John Cena against Rusev in a Western Chain match. I even said this. I think a lot of people would have said it. They should have had the last man standing stipulation for this match. Or even the I Quit match to save us another match at Payback. But for what it was, the match was just okay. It was like the match at Mania was decent. Better than a Payback match. Better than a Fastlane match at Mania. But that was the same match. The only good part of the match is I think the seeds are fully planted for the Rusev Lana breakup. We saw Lana kind of inadvertently cause Rusev the title at Mania by jumping on the top rope, jumping on the wing apron, and getting inadvertently knocked over by Rusev, rendering him to get the FU from Cena. And again, Lana came on the top rope again. She came on the apron again. Fans were cheering. They were cheering Lana. I even compared Lana to Sable and Mark Mero. Like, Lana's the star like Sable, and Rusev's the jealous type like Mark Mero was. I might have used that analogy once before. But I may have been like a year ago. But I think it may happen. Lana may break off from Rusev. And I think the turn may happen at Payback. Before one it was Western Chain match, even though the Western Chain was made in China. Cena, as we should have thought, won the match. But the ending was, I'll give the ending okay. Like both guys, you had to drag your opponent in touch of 4 turnbuckles in succession. Normally it'd be a strap match. But there's been variations on a strap match. There's been like the Texas Blow-Up match. And other matches like of this, but involving something else instead of a strap. But I don't think WWE has had a Western Chain match. WCW had, but not WWE. So I think WCW had a Western Chain match. Sting and Nikita Koloff, Great American Bash 91. I think that was the match. But the match was just okay. Like, both guys touched 3 turnbuckles in a row, and then Cena touched the 4th one after viewing Rusev. So it was like, okay, but it wasn't as good as the other matches. 2.2, the least favorite for Cena and Rusev. So there you go. And like I said, they made Last Man Standing. Well, Last Man Standing snatch, but later on at night, Lana went to the Authority and made another match between Rusev and Cena, calling it the final chapter. It should be. Rusev, Cena, I Quit. I think that should have been stipulation tonight. For 2 reasons. One, would have been better than the Russian Chain match. And 2, it would have saved us a match at Payback to extend the feud till Payback. And it should end at Payback, hopefully. You know? Stop burying Rusev enough, Cena. Although I do like your open challenges. Even if you do bury everybody who faces you in it. But I expect a turn from Lana at the pay-per-view. Like she made it throw like the towel in. That was probably going to happen. Rusev would not utter I Quit. I bet you Rusev would not say the words. Lana would just throw the towel in. And then the turn will happen. So we shall see how it all plays out. I've been right on prediction before. You know, I made that bold prediction back in the Royal Rumble that Rollins would not only be in the championship match, I mean, he'll cash in and win. And I was right. But on to our next matchup. Probably the most physical match. Roman Reigns against Big Show in the Last Man Standing match. Now, as I said earlier, of all the matches that be able to use tables, this was the one that was able to. Why? Ambrose and Harper would have had more fun using the tables than these two. But for what it was an okay match. Not as bad as Cena Rusev, but no, but like the action was just okay. There were some decent spots. They broke a lot of tables. Let's say that much. They broke a lot of tables for 2 guys with limited mobility, specifically Big Show's limited mobility. Reigns did okay with it. I thought Reigns was gonna get his ass booted out the building, like Cena, because you know Chicago. Going back to Cena for a second. I read the paper the other day saying that Chicago hates John Cena more than any other state in the union. Thought to myself, shit, I've known that for 9 years. We all know Cena's been hated by Chicago, but he got less boos this time. I thought Reigns was going to get shattered with boos. But Chicago ain't as shitting on things like Philadelphia or Pittsburgh is. You know, I thought they were going to shit all over this match, like booing the hell out of it. Thankfully, it wasn't that much. But the match was just okay. They used candlesticks in this match. It was okay in those spots. The Roman Reigns spear through the barricade was cool. The Big Show choke slam through both tables. Like, he chokes him off the top rope to 2 tables on the outside. That was a cool little spot. There was a lot of table breaking. Like I said, this table breaking should have been Harper and Ambrose's match. But still, I'll give Big Show credit for that choke slam. I'll give Roman Reigns credit for at least trying to do the best he can with a limited mobility Big Show. The match went pretty long, and it was an okay little match. Better than Cena Rusev's match, but not by much. The ending came when Big Show was trying to do a big move on Reigns on the tables, the announce tables. A lot of tables we used. In the final thing, and I was kind of seeing this coming, like Big Show had set up the steel steps, kind of by the announce table, after getting speared through the barricade. He was on top of the Spanish announce table. And Reigns ran from the steel steps at the edge of the English announce table, ran up to the spear on Big Show through the table, the Spanish announce table, and Big Show finally went down and, well, actually he got back up. But then the cheesiness came when Reigns put another table on top of Big Show after he got speared through the Spanish table. So it's kind of a cheesy way. Like, a lot of tables were used. But still, the match was okay. Like I said, better than Cena and Rusev, but not by much. 2.4. I'll give 2.5. I'll give it 2.5. You know, it was okay. So then we saw a promo to fill time. Bull Dallas came out. We saw him come back last week against Roman Reigns in a promo. Probably the best mic work I've seen from Reigns. Because I like when he said, like, I'll give him. His promo tonight wasn't that bad. He's working on it, you know. He's got more work to do. Way more work to do in the promo department. So then we would have Bo Dallas come out talking about Chicago, and then here comes Ryback. It wasn't a match. It was just a segment when Ryback just meat hooked the hell out of Bo Dallas leading up to the shell shock. It was just a little segment to fill time. It was okay, and that's when it served its purpose. Fill time before our main event for the WWE Whatever Championship. Randy Orton against Seth Rollins for the WWE Whatever Championship in a steel cage. Now, the RKO was supposedly banned during this match. Well, we need to clarify the situation involving that, which I'll get to when we get to the ending. But I love the Mania match between Orton and Rollins. It wasn't as good as the Mania match. A lot more interference during this match. I knew to be interference. Like, even if the steel cage is supposed to serve a purpose of keeping people out, there's still gonna be interference. In this case, there was. But the interference at Mania didn't ruin it that much. But the interference was like way over heavy. But it was okay for what it was. Decent little matchup between these two guys. Not as good as the Mania match. I think the Mania match was a little bit better. A little bit better. So, there you go with that little equation. I thought the interference. I knew there'd be interference, but I thought it'd be minimal. But it was like unfortunately it ruined. It kind of spoiled the match. It was just okay, fun little matchup. Like I said, not as good as me. Like while I'm trying to escape the whole time, and I knew Kane would be a big factor. Boy, oh boy, was Kane a big factor. JJ Security came out at one point, and while I'm trying to get him out, he kicked him out. Trying to climb the cage when Kane wouldn't open the door for him. And then Orton kicked them both on the side. There's some okay little spots, but not cool. Especially when both guys aren't allowed to use their big moves. Especially Rollins not allowed to use the curb stomp anymore. But, and Orton teased the RKO, but he couldn't do it. But he did Hangman's DDT, and then he stole someone else's move. Triple H's move. He did a pedigree at one point. So he wasn't allowed to use his move. He used someone else's moves. Even with the RKO, Orton was still effective. He was on his brain. Even tried to punt. He tried to bring the punt back. Like, you would allow Seth Rollins to even attempt to do a curb stomp, yet you let Orton almost attempt a punt? Although he missed out, but come on. Why can't Rollins use the curb stomp? Still stupid. I know it's safety, but come on. Let him use it. So then, at one point in the match, Rollins had Kane open the gate, and then Kane slammed the door in Orton's face, and then he got a drop kick down to the ground, and this is when the clusterfuck started to unravel. JJ Security got involved, and then Kane came in, double choke slammed him, and then he was like tempting to choke slam either one Orton or Rollins. He choke slammed Orton at one point, then he choke slammed Rollins, but not before laying Rollins on top of Orton. Trying to play best for business. I think it's like torn. Like, he wants to beat up Rollins. He wants to turn on the authority, but he still wants to be on their side, So, but even with Rollins prone on top of Orton, Orton still kicked out. And then Kane came back in trying to attack Orton again after Orton kicked out. And then RKO on Kane. And this is when it really got fishy. Rollins RKO'd Orton. And Rollins won. By climbing out of the cage. Now, we need to clarify something. Was the overall move RKO banned from anybody to use? Or was the RKO just banned by Randy Orton? I'm trying to speak right. Like, was the RKO banned from use from anybody? Or was Randy Orton just banned from using it? Was nobody allowed to do RKO? Like, nobody, period? Not only Orton, but nobody was allowed to use RKO? Or was it just Orton who wasn't allowed? It's kind of fishy. The entire, they need some clarification here. Was the entire move banned from anybody like I said, I'm trying to explain right. Was nobody allowed to use it at all? Like nobody, not just Orton, but nobody was allowed. Not only Orton, but Rollins wasn't allowed either, or was just Orton not allowed? We need some clarification on that, but that was kind of a screwy ending. Probably the only screwy thing in the match was the main event. I'll deduct a few points from the match. 2.8. I'll give it a 2.8. It was okay, a little matchup, but the ending kind of ruined it. You know, if Seth Rollins still allowed to use the RKO, even though it was banned, like I said, was the entire move banned for use from anybody, or was just all not allowed to use it? They should hopefully explain better on Watermore. A lot of questions to be answered. Clarification on the RKO ban. Was just Orton banned from using it, or was everybody, including Orton, not allowed to use it either? Kind of fishy. It was interesting anyway, but still kind of fishy. So, and also a big question, what's the status of the IC Championship? Is D-By stripped or not? We do know one match for Payback, the next pay-per-view. And I hope they don't, speaking of that, Payback last year, they had a whole D-By dragging out him stripped of the title. They dragged it out. I don't want to drag it out. Just simply strip him. No games. Like they did last year with the Brie Bella shit. Just play no games. Strip D-By, flat out, no bullshit, no games. I love D-By, but we need a healthy champion. I love D-By, but come on. His championship days are over. Because every time he's champion, he gets injured. Just let him be a gatekeeper. Not like Kane tonight. But, anyway. A little fun pay-per-view. Like I said, 6.5. Only 3 matches were really good. Maybe 4. Some people said Roman Reigns and Big Show could be the match of the night. I think the tag team titles was the best match of the night. But Roman Big Show was still decent. It was a brawl. That's what it was. It wasn't a wrestling match. It was just a brawl. And that's what it was. A brawl. It was an exciting brawl. Even though I gave it a 2.5. But still, I'll still give it a 2.5. And that is it for my WWE Extreme Rules review tonight. Thank you very much for watching. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. See y'all later. Yeah.